When Deadwood first hit HBO in 2004, it looked like a classic Western: dusty streets, grim morality, gunfights echoing through the Black Hills. But by its second season, creator David Milch quietly transformed the series into something far more profound. Beneath its grime and grit, Deadwood stopped chasing the myth of the American frontier and began dissecting it. With Timothy Olyphant as the stoic lawman Seth Bullock and Ian McShane as the brutal saloon kingpin Al Swearingen, the show redefined what a Western could be. Its 92% Rotten Tomatoes score isn't just a mark of acclaim, it's proof that Milch's experiment in language, power, and corruption worked. The arrival of Hearst, when Deadwood's frontier grew teeth. The series' tonal shift arrived with the introduction of George Hearst, Gerald McCraney, a man who personified capitalism's cold inevitability. Unlike the outlaws and gunmen who preceded him, Hearst didn't conquer through violence, but through ownership of minds, men, and morality itself. This marked the moment when Deadwood ceased being about survival and became a political fable. Hearst's encroachment turned every conversation into a weapon and every favor into a chess move. Milch replaced shootouts with verbal warfare, where a whispered threat could do more damage than a drawn pistol. Power in Deadwood no longer resided in guns, but in contracts, alliances, and coercion. Violence still lingered in the background, but it became a symptom of something larger, a society learning to institutionalize cruelty. From Western to political tragedy. Season 2 stripped away the romanticism of the frontier myth and revealed what lay underneath: not heroism, but bureaucracy. The Gem Saloon, once a house of vice, evolved into a proto-parliament, where deals replaced duels. Bullock's integrity was slowly corroded by the very systems he swore to uphold, while Swearingen's manipulative genius made him both tyrant and tragic hero. By binding these two opposites together, Milch created a portrait of civilization's birth, one born not from progress, but from compromise and corruption. Director Ed Bianchi replaced sweeping Western vistas with claustrophobic interiors. Power wasn't expressed in open space anymore, but in closed rooms, the same visual grammar later used in Mad Men and Succession. Civilization didn't tame chaos. It simply learned to disguise it. Swearingen versus Hearst. The old guard meets its replacement. The tension between Swearingen and Hearst defined the show's metamorphosis. Swearingen, who once ruled Deadwood through charisma and brutality, now found himself outmatched by a man who didn't need to draw a weapon. Hearst represented a new kind of evil, not personal, but systemic. He conquered with deeds and law, not bullets. Swearingen's reign, built on manipulation and fear, was suddenly obsolete. McShane's performance turned Al from a monster into a relic, a man aware that the world he built was being swallowed by corporate modernity. Their confrontations were chillingly polite, sit-downs filled with veiled threats and suffocating civility. In those scenes, Deadwood revealed the terrifying reality that progress doesn't cleanse power, it only refines its cruelty. The birth of prestige television. Looking back, Deadwood Season 2 feels prophetic. Its deliberate pacing, dialogue-heavy drama, and fascination with systems of control paved the way for the golden age of television that followed. Shows like The Wire, Mad Men, and Game of Thrones would later inherit its DNA, stories where power corrupts not through bloodshed, but through negotiation. Milch proved that words could be as devastating as bullets, and that corruption is the true language of civilization. Even its visual style predicted the future. Muted lighting, faces framed tight, emotion simmering beneath silence. Every sigh and side glance became a form of storytelling. Deadwood turned conversation into combat and created the foundation for modern, prestige TV. Why Deadwood still matters. 2 decades later, Deadwood feels less like history and more like prophecy. Its depiction of a town consumed by greed and bureaucracy mirrors our modern systems of exploitation and compromise. Milch never moralizes, he observes. Swearingen's weariness, Bullock's disillusionment, Alma Garrett's awakening, they're all fragments of a civilization learning that order doesn't destroy corruption, it organizes it. What remains powerful today is Deadwood's refusal to surrender to cynicism. Beneath its profanity and depravity, the show still yearns for decency, fragile, doomed, but defiant. By turning its Western into an autopsy of American progress, Deadwood didn't just change television, it predicted the modern world. Hearst's arrival was the exact moment the frontier died, and something colder, smarter, and far more permanent took its place.